guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Kylie if you're new, and today, yes, absolutely, I am reviewing Halloween 2018. This movie received a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, and here's what happened. It's been 40 years since Laurie Strode survived a vicious attack from a crazed killer, Michael Myers, on Halloween night. Locked up in an institution, Myers manages to escape when his bus transfer goes horribly wrong. Laurie now faces a terrifying showdown when the masked madman returns to Haddonfield, Illinois. But this time, she's ready for him. Before I get into this video really quick, I just want to shout out my friend Art with Horror. He has a channel as well, and he just recently ranked all of the Halloween movies. So check him out. He's one of the nicest guys I swear you'll ever watch on this platform. He also recently decorated for Halloween, and that inspired me to get my decorations up a little bit early too. And so, if you're interested in seeing my vlog decorating my room for Halloween, that will be linked down below. Okay, getting on with the video. So as always, I will start with my fun facts and then I'll get into my review. So the role of Allison, Laurie's granddaughter, was actually a pretty coveted role, and multiple famous actresses like Lucy Hale and Emma Roberts both met with Danny McBride for the prospect of the role, but the studio decided they wanted to go back to the roots of the original and hire an unknown actress the way that Jamie Lee Curtis was hired for the original, which I believe was the correct choice. In the UK and the US, the movie was released on Michael Myers' birthday, which is October 19th. It also became the highest grossing Halloween movie in its opening weekend. While the film ignores all the previous sequels and reboots, they actually paid homage to every single Halloween movie within this one. Jamie Lee Curtis credits this film as living up to the original. Filming lasted for 28 days, and they actually filmed this in Charleston, South Carolina, which is interesting to me because I think that they could have just used some of the original locations where they filmed in Los Angeles, but I guess filming in Los Angeles is getting really expensive these days. I don't know, but I found that interesting. Two men actually played Michael in this movie, one of them being James Jude Courtney, who allegedly worked with real-life killers to make his performance more believable. I guess I shouldn't say worked with, he consulted real-life killers. And the other man who played Michael Myers is, of course, the original Michael Myers, Nick Castle. He was 70 years old at the time of filming, making him the oldest actor to ever play Michael Myers. This movie was actually distributed by Universal Pictures, and they had not had any involvement in releasing these movies since Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch. In the movie, Allison mentions that Halloween is on a school night, and in 2018, Halloween did indeed fall on a Wednesday. Jamie Lee Curtis was previously tied with Danielle Harris for the second most appearances in the Halloween movies, but now Jamie Lee Curtis is tied with Donald Pleasance. Okay, that does it. Now I'm gonna get on with my review. I'm not gonna lie, I've been excited to talk about this one. I hadn't seen this one since it came out in 2018 in the theaters, and I just rewatched it with my boyfriend. It was just as good as I remember, so let me just break it down. It's hard for me to know where to start. I think I'm gonna start with one of my favorite callbacks in the movie. The kids are walking down the street, and one of them asks Allison, like, hey, isn't Michael Myers your grandma's brother? And she says, I'm directly quoting the script, she said, no, I think people made up the bit about them being related because it made them feel better. Like it couldn't happen to anyone. I love to see that because it's so funny. Like not only is it kind of touching upon the sequels and what actually happened with the franchise, but it kind of also makes fun of the other sequels, and it kind of makes fun of the people that are willing to die on the hill that Michael and Laurie should be siblings. On that topic, I thought that after watching H2O, them being siblings was a better storyline, and after watching this one, I changed my mind back. It's not. It's just not. They don't need to be siblings because with John Carpenter's original vision, Michael was more of a boogeyman. He's not human, and so him and Laurie's destinies are intertwined. That became abundantly more clear in this movie without it becoming the sole focus of the movie that he was a boogeyman. And it's just like in the original where it was more implicit and it's not like in your face like he is the boogeyman and here is why. There were some other callbacks that I really enjoyed. I liked when Laurie said straight up, she was like, oh, so you're the new Dr. Loomis? Because in the story, like he's just the new doctor, but then in real life, like he is the new person that's like the new doctor chasing Michael. So I thought the dialogue did such a good job of making callbacks and references while still having such a good degree of realism. Like none of it felt forced. It was all very natural. You also have shots in this movie that are callbacks to the original, like when Laurie is standing outside of the school just like Michael did, and when Laurie falls off of the patio and she falls on the ground and then she disappears much like Michael did in the original. On that note, I love how the tables have turned in this movie where Laurie goes upstairs to stalk Michael, where Laurie looks into the closet to find Michael. All that stuff had me so geeked. But a lot of you guys being fans, you probably are aware of all the callbacks, so I'm gonna go on to my next topic, which I love the fact that we have 3 generations of Strodes in this movie. We have Laurie, her daughter, and her granddaughter Allison, and I just think that's so brilliant because there must be multiple generations of families that love Halloween, like people that went to see the original probably showed it to their kids who showed it to their kids, and I'm sure that there are some families that like all went together to go see Halloween, and I think it's so special that they took that into consideration and crafted a story where now Michael has been this plague that kind of was a curse on this family for multiple generations. But it kind of mirrors the way that people have been afraid of Michael since 1978, and that kind of fear has been passed on from generation to generation of people loving these movies. I also found Allison's character to be super likable, and in Halloween Kills, I hope that she takes the reins a little bit more. I wouldn't really mind if she was our new final girl. Although I don't know how I would feel about saying goodbye to Laurie. I know there are some people that are really like ready for her to be gone, like they're ready to say goodbye, but I just feel like her dynamic and connection with Michael has been proven to be the core of this franchise and what makes it work. Back during the 4th, 5th, and 6th sequels in the 80s, it seemed more like Dr. Loomis's connection was more so the foundation of the Halloween movies, but I was honestly never really a fan of Loomis. I liked him in the first movie, but then I didn't really like his character development in 4, 5, and 6. I just feel like Laurie is more likable, and Jamie Lee Curtis has been my favorite actor in any of these movies. She's been my favorite lead. And I think that the 2018 sequel shows us that her connection with Michael truly is the foundation of this franchise. Again, because the themes of destiny and whatnot are brought up a little bit more in this movie. Now, in terms of him getting to her house without even having the motive of like actually going after Laurie, I know that felt a little bit forced to some people, but like I was just saying, this movie is more so a demonstration of fate. So I really didn't mind that he ended up there, you know, it was just meant to be. And the climax was such a good showdown. Like I mentioned, I love how the tables have turned with Michael and Laurie. I also remember mentioning in my H2O review that I liked the character development of Laurie in that movie more than this one. That is also not true. I also take that back. I think the direction they took with her in this sequel was the right move. While at first she obviously seems weak because she can't control the physical symptoms of her PTSD, by the end she gears up, she hunts him down. She is so badass. Her anxieties from the beginning of the movie were all warranted because she knew her fate, that he would return, and her intuition is what saved her life and her daughter and her granddaughter's lives. So moving on to more of, I guess, like the horror style of this movie, I definitely think that they took it back to the roots of the original Halloween and their filming style. So I already mentioned some of the callbacks with the cinematography. The cinematography was very similar and the vibes were immaculate. It very much feels like the original, definitely lives up to the original. I also think it was very much so shot in John Carpenter's taste, and what I mean is there was very little gore in this movie. A lot of the kills are actually off screen and they're way less explicit than they could have been, and this is very reminiscent of the original as well. So at least for me, when you don't have the gore to focus on, when that's not all in your face, it leaves more room for you to focus on the plot, the characters, the story development. And in doing so, in my opinion at least, it makes the story a little bit more suspenseful and more meaningful because you get more actual emotional time with your characters. If there's too much gore, I feel like eventually at some point in the movie you kind of just become numb to it. Gore is also more of a form of shock value, and the more shock value you have in a movie, the more you can get away with having kind of a weaker plot, kind of like the Friday the 13th franchise. Ooh, sorry, no shade. So I love that we have a really plot-heavy Halloween movie where we're really involved with Laurie's family. There's a lot more emotion involved, and it also has a great deal of fan service while still feeling very realistic, which I imagine was really hard to do. Another moment that people don't seem to like so much is when the doctor kills the sheriff and he's like, oh, so that's what it feels like, and he goes crazy, and like that's how Michael ends up at the house, and people feel like that was kind of forced and kind of out there. That part, I can agree, was a little bit strange. We start to slightly cross into a double mumbo jumbo territory, which I talked about briefly in my third Nightmare on Elm Street video. So basically an unwritten rule of screenwriting is that you only keep one major unrealistic element in your movie, and the more you start to add, the harder it is for your audience to suspend their disbelief. And you don't want your audience to strain to be suspending their disbelief. You want them to have just like a nice easy watch. You want them to be involved in the story and never like be taken out of it. The double mumbo jumbo can do that. So for my feelings on that scene, I think I can actually excuse it. It was a really brief scene, and also in the theater when I was watching the movie brand new for the first time, it was such a shock and such an interesting twist. The only problem was it just didn't have enough payoff. I do forgive it though because I'm a fan of twists and I just didn't mind it that much. And finally, we have to talk about the fact that Nick Castle came back to play Michael Myers again. King. Now it's hard to say which scenes were filmed with Castle and which scenes were filmed with Courtney. I do believe though that all the scenes where he wasn't wearing a mask, it was definitely Courtney, because we briefly kind of saw like half of his face and you could see like his head and whatnot. That looked a little bit more like Courtney. But regardless of who was in what scene, this was my favorite performance of Michael that I have ever seen. Even though Michael was supposed to be 61 in this movie and Nick Castle was actually 70 at the time of filming, he moved with so much strength and so much grace. I was really in awe. All of the movements were so like sharp and so deliberate. It's just so well done. Like you wouldn't really expect an older person playing Michael to have that kind of strength and like vigor in the role, but man, wow. Also the fact that we have the original Michael Myers back again, who hasn't been back since the original movie in 1978. Even though you don't see his face really in either movie, it just makes you feel so good and special and warm inside knowing that it is the original Michael Myers. I mean, right? Like it makes you feel good, doesn't it? Now I want to talk about the ending because when this movie came out, they hadn't announced the 2 other sequels yet, so I was a little bit mad about the fact that they didn't show Michael's body actually dying, because he was at the foot of the staircase and then you have another shot in the burning house and you can clearly see that he's like not standing there anymore. And so immediately from that moment, I'm like, they're trying to set up a sequel, aren't they? And indeed, of course they were. They already were planning to make it a trilogy. And I don't really know how I feel about it, because last time that Jamie Lee Curtis reprised her role for H2O, in my opinion, was great. And then they ruined it with Resurrection. So for Halloween Kills, I'm like, please, can we please just keep it in tone with Halloween 2018? Like, can we please just keep that consistency, that vibe, the good writing? Let's not make it something crazy like they did with Resurrection. I don't know, we shall have to see. I also somehow have managed not to watch the teaser trailer yet, so I think I might do that for the end of this series. Next week I'm going to be reviewing the fan-made film Halloween Night, which is free to watch on YouTube. I'm going to link that down below so that you guys can watch it before next week, so we all have watched it before I review it. Then I'm going to do my top kills, then I'm going to do my ranking video, and then I can do my reaction to Halloween Kills teaser trailer. Also, you guys, I'm filming this on Friday, so this review is not going up for another 3 days. Right now, I'm at 947 subscribers. My goal when I first started regularly posting was to hit 1,000 by the end of the year, and now I'm probably gonna hit it before it's even October because of you guys. Thank you. I'm a little flabbergasted. Like, I've always wanted to do YouTube. I love making these videos. I work really hard on them, but I honestly didn't expect like such an overwhelming amount of support like right off the bat. Like, I've only really been doing this for like 5-ish months. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the future of this channel. Thank you guys so much. Like, you have no idea how much it helps when you guys leave a comment or you like the video. It boosts my channel and other people get to see my videos. You have no idea how much that means to me, so thank you. If you're new here, I've reviewed all the previous Halloween movies up until this point, and I also have a Nightmare on Elm Street series going on, so check that one out as well. I also post 3 days a week, so my Halloween videos come out on Mondays, my Nightmare videos come out on Wednesdays, and then I have other miscellaneous videos that come out on Fridays. I have some collection videos, I have some other videos about movies on Netflix, things like that. So tune in this week on Wednesday. I'm reviewing the 6th Nightmare on Elm Street movie, Freddy's Nightmares? Wait. And then on Friday, I'm comparing Ring-You from 1998 to The Ring from 2002. All the original Japanese Ring movies are on Shudder right now, so if you have Shudder, go ahead and watch the first one at least. I think I'm going to be starting kind of a mini-series where I compare the American remakes to their Japanese original. So this will also include The Ring 2, The Grudge, The Uninvited, movies like that. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe and stick around. If you want to follow me on social media, my Letterboxed, Instagram, and Twitter are all at Kai Johns. On Letterboxd, that's where I talk about movies that I don't intend on reviewing on this channel. And on Instagram, I always let you guys know what movies I'm watching so you can watch them too, just in case I do a review of them soon. I also post other horror content like horror news, and I've recently been getting really into posting stacks of movies because I collect DVDs, and just making like nice aesthetic stacks is really fun for me. And then my Twitter is mainly for activism, so I don't know if you're interested in that. But on that topic, there will be links and sources down below with information about like, you know, climate change, BLM, all that good stuff. So stay involved, register to vote. Taking part in your democracy is really cool. But on that note, that's all I have to say. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye!